One. Okay. All right. All right, guys. Well, welcome to our Women in STEM event, February 19th. Super happy to have our guest, Melissa Jawaharlal.
Wow, very impressive.
I got that. I needed to make sure I pronounced that. I'm Latino. I gotta get my pronunciations right.
Thank you very much.
So very thankful that that she's with us today from STEMCENTER USA. We're just gonna jump right into it for the sake of time. So for those that are with us and those catching the recording, I'm so happy to have her with us. So Melissa, thank you for coming. The floor is yours.
Awesome. All right. Well, Miguel, thank you so much for having me. Isaac, it's a pleasure to meet you. And for anybody else joining us later, hello. So I am Melissa. I'm excited to talk a little bit about my story, kind of what I do now, what led me here, where that started in high school, which was a really big starting point for me, and then also share some resources for those of you who have any further questions. Isaac, since you are our one guest, and I know you don't have your audio on, but if you could share with me what grade you're in, and if you have any like specific career ideas, thanks, 10th grade, awesome. Any specific career ideas or what your favorite courses are currently in school, that would be awesome. Just so I get a better sense of who you are. I know it's kind of a big question too. Oh, and we have one more, I think. Yay. Hi, Teresa. Welcome.
Teresa, hi. Welcome to the event. We're getting it started right now. It's going to be super interactive. So if you have your audio and your camera, feel free to say hi. And if something's going on. Oh, there's Teresa. It's Miss Teresa, our counselor. There you go. I saw a guest and I wasn't sure. I was like, wait.
Hi.
Hi. Well, hi, Teresa. Miss Teresa, nice to meet you. I am Melissa. I'm excited to be here and join your school. Miguel was telling me a lot of really wonderful things about what you all are doing and the programs you have. So I'm delighted to meet you all and looking forward to hopefully visiting one day in a post-pandemic world.
Yeah, yes, absolutely.
Awesome. All right, I'm going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to share my slides here just to give us some visuals as we work. Give me a quick second to get to where I'm at. Cool, perfect. Awesome. All right, big picture of me. My name is Melissa Jawaharlal. I am the CEO and co-founder of STEMCENTER USA. So excited to talk to you all about, usually, if we have a couple other students in the class, I'd love to hear some of your goals and things like that. Isaac, I know, shared that he was a little bit interested in the marketing industries. I think it's really awesome to be talking to a group of folks, both live and later on, that have some access to a place like the Tile Lab and are really just thinking about what you want to do. I don't think it matters that you exactly have a plan, because honestly, life changes. And if anything, this year has taught us that very, very well. But it's nice to think about what you might want to do, or how you enjoy spending your time, or the type of lifestyle that you want to lead. And so that way you can start exploring that and talking to some others. Hi, Sophia. Nice to meet you. Thank you for joining us. We're just getting started, and I am about to tell y'all a little bit about me. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. So let me start by just telling you a little bit about what I do currently, and then I'll kind of rewind back a little bit and talk to you about how that got started. So I run a small business called STEMCENTER USA, along with my sister, Lavanya. We are based in Southern California alongside you all. I am in Claremont and Rancho Cucamonga, so a little bit more inland. And the business really grew out of our hobbies, which was building stuff, making things, breaking things in a controlled environment. And that grew from things that we did in our garage to our living room. At some point, we started essentially teaching classes to local students, not unlike yourself. And started contracting our services to local companies, kind of tutoring essentially, but jumping into robotics. We started our business in 2011. To give you some perspective, at the time I was a junior in college. I was at the University of Southern California. I was also working a few other jobs. And so when we got started, it was really just formalizing what we were already doing and seeing how we could sustainably grow that. I know there was a couple questions asking, hey, what do you actually do in the questions that some of you sent earlier? And so what do we actually do? Today we work with K-12 students. We focus on hands-on, individualized STEM offerings. As you know, STEM isn't an acronym we made up. It stands up for science, technology, engineering, and math. And we believe that in our modern tech-fueled world, regardless of what you grow up to become, for all young people, it's just really vital that we have a basic understanding of how things work. So to do that, we have 2 robotics creativity centers, which are places that are a classroom meets makerspace, very similar to what y'all have at the Tile Lab, to come in, learn, tinker, create things. We do a lot of camps and virtual workshops now. Summer is obviously a big time, but now we get to see folks like you through virtual means as well. We have weekly classes. We do PD with schools, sites, teachers, organizations. And then along the way, when we've seen needs in the market, as an engineer personally, we've also had the opportunity to create a couple of products and share that with both our students and other sites as well. So these are some of our kids, pre-COVID world, I will say. I have to put that asterisk on whenever I share some images. And as you now know, everything is about building things, designing things, getting into coding. And I believe that starts at these ages, which is 4, 5, 6 years old. And so that way, by the time they get to where you all are in high school, you're not afraid of it. They're curious about it. They're entering labs like yours so they can do a little bit more and drive that further. But really, I think a big part of that starts early on. And we're fortunate to have a team of folks that include high school instructors like yourselves and collegiate instructors who can share their passions with younger students and kind of continue that cycle. A brief kind of update of where we are as an organization. As you know, we started in 2011 from scratch. Along the way, we have created 2 successful Kickstarter campaigns that really jump-started a lot of what we do. Essentially, if you're not familiar with what that means, is we had crowdfunding campaigns raise about $140,000 for 2 products that we were able to bring to market and share, which has been really, really awesome. One was a robotics kit. One is a book. I have one in front of me. It's an ABC book, but all about technology, which is kind of different and fun. And then to continue kind of growing our business, we received a few grants. And so we won a $50,000 grant competition. That allowed us to raise funds to open our second brick and mortar location. And then to date, we've had over 1,000 students go through our Creativity Center doors. This past year alone, we've reached over 1,000 students virtually. So it's a little interesting to see kind of where we go and what that looks like. We have partners throughout Southern California, and then summer is a fun time as well for us. We employ over 50 part-time staff. That includes high school, collegiate, and recent graduate students. And then we also partner with international organizations to bring programs to different parts of the world as well. Does anyone have any questions so far? I know I'm just kind of going. And if you do, feel free to drop it in the chat. If I don't see it right away, I know Miguel will bring it to my attention, and so that way I can pause and I can go from there as well. And we'll have some time for Q&A at the end too. So I like to start, especially when I talk to high school friends like you all, with kind of where my path to this world began. And that started in my high school days. And one of the programs that I was involved in, I went to school in Fullerton, California, so not too far away, was a program called Invent Teams. And so I was exposed to Invention Education in my sophomore year. And part of a program that I was involved in was writing a grant to a program called the Lumsden MIT Foundation, where we received, as high school kids, a $10,000 grant to solve a problem. And then high school students are then able to find a problem in their community and work towards building a solution. And the solution that we identified was a coconut tree climbing device to help people harvest coconuts more efficiently and safely. And so you see my team there. If you look really carefully, there's also a tree and there's our robot on the side of it. We were able to not just create a working prototype, but actually do everything from learning to model it, getting into the electronics, picking things out like motors, program it ultimately with a PS2 controller, I believe at the time, ship everything over to MIT and present our work on campus to other Invent teams as well as MIT folks. So that was a really fascinating experience for me. I was a 10th grade student, so 14, 15 years old, probably similar to age as some of you, or maybe even younger. And that really piqued my curiosity on what the world of engineering was all about and why we should care about it, what we can do with some of those skills. And then not to mention being able to then take what you do in the classroom and go out to a really awesome university and share that experience was phenomenal. My career then brought me over to USC, and another project that I did a few years later was being involved with the USC Information Sciences Institute, where I had the opportunity to work on our CubeSat missions. CubeSats are essentially satellites that are cubular in shape. And so over here, it is 10 centimeters by 10 centimeters by 30 centimeters high. And what happens is some of the folks at different launch sites basically partner with universities. Universities have different missions and are able to put together certain packages. And then there's, I don't know, 10 to 20 of these that launch on some of the different missions that go up. By my freshman and sophomore year, I was honored to be part of, I was able to develop a burn wire design mechanism that helped us deploy a parabolic antenna and some solar panels essentially at the right times. Later on in my college years, I was able to actually do some contract work up in Vandenberg Air Force Base, just a little bit north of the coast, Central California. And while I was there, I was actually able to see one of the satellites I'd worked on in earlier years launch, which was phenomenal. And just anytime you actually have the opportunity to see a launch is fantastic. Hopefully you all saw some of the cool pictures that came out of the Perseverance yesterday. So looking forward to seeing more, which is really exciting. But you know, from my high school experiences to my college experiences early on to my later college experiences, I started to really just fall in love with this world of creation and specifically space exploration, which led me to where I am today. I like to bring this up as well because one, fight on USC, but how did I even get there? And so I was at USC on a Trustee Scholarship, and I like to share that because as you all think about your college careers and what comes next and where you want to go and what that looks like in terms of funding, I like to share my story with that. And so when I was in my late high school, I knew I wanted to study engineering. I wasn't sure exactly what in engineering I wanted to do at that time. I knew I wanted to make things. That was about it. But I started to pursue mechanical engineering, applied to a bunch of universities, was honored to be accepted into USC. And I remember my acceptance letter came in and a couple other letters came in, and I was offered a half scholarship, which was huge. But if you know how much USC costs, a half scholarship still means you have probably about $40,000 to pay a year, including housing and things like that. And so when I went on site to do an interview for that half scholarship, I asked for more. And I basically talked to the interviewer who was interviewing me to even fully offer me that half scholarship, by the way. That wasn't guaranteed or anything like that. And had a conversation where I hopefully pitched myself, told them why I was a good candidate for the school, told them why I wanted to be here and what my hopes and dreams were. And then at 17 years old, I also asked for more. And I said, hey, I really want to be here for all these reasons. I think I'm going to be a great person here for all these reasons. But I can't come because, you know, this price tag isn't something that I'm able to do at this time. And so really appreciate all your time. But if there's any way that you might be able to support me on this adventure a little further, this is what I would need. And I remember walking out of that environment and thinking, gosh, well, that was cool, but I probably kicked that opportunity way out. And a few weeks later, I received my Trustee Scholarship letter, which was really awesome. And so as you all start, you know, considering your college careers, I would say, number one, don't not apply to colleges because of how much they cost. But number two, make sure you apply by scholarship deadlines and make sure you look at all the different opportunities that are out there, both through the school sites and not through school sites, for scholarships and academic support. And wherever you end up, don't be afraid to ask for what you want and be ready to build a case for yourself at the same time. A lot of what I do today is with my sister. And so I'm in a really unique position where I get to build things, I get to share that with young people, and I get to do that with somebody that, one of the people I love most in the world, which is my sister, Lavanya. And so just a couple fun images there. The image in the middle is us at our grand opening of our first site, which was in Pomona, California. It was 900 square feet, small location, built out like a doctor's office. And we started to put in robots and obstacle courses and 3D printers and all sorts of fun things. And that was really a place where we got to get started. And then together we were able to do a couple different things. On the left, you see images of us with what I think at least is pretty fun wearables projects that were all either sewed or soldered with LEDs. There's actually a couple sensors hidden in there too. With projects that, were just meaningful for us. So the light up tie, I'm a big person, like I love earrings. And so we made like hoop earrings, except the techie version, flower crowns. And again, in a different version, I like bow ties a little bit more than ties. So that was mine, and some different things. And so that was a product that we actually brought to Kickstarter as well. Engineering looks a little different for everybody. So whether you're in astronautics or you're in biomedical or electrical or mechanical or the automotive industry, or you want to make the next fashion electronics of our world, it looks a little bit different. And so we did a TED Talk at Cal Poly Pomona a few years ago with that really being the piece in terms of what does it look like to be a woman in engineering, and can you, wear dresses and flower crowns and also do some of this? Do you have to do that? No, absolutely not. But you get to be your own person, which I'm always happy to talk about, and really was something that I am still learning as I go through and figure out who I am in this world, but something that we really enjoy. A couple questions I saw in the chat included like, what was our robot kit all about? I think from questions that Miguel had sent me. And so this is one of them. And basically this is a Arduino based robot for any of you who know what that is. And the way that it came about is we were working with students and we didn't really find something that was the right tool at the right price point. And so at the time, this was 2012, 2013, a lot of robotics kits are like $200, $300, $400, $500, or even upwards of $1,000 to get your hands on. And so it makes it really hard for an individual to do that unless you have the support of a school or an organization or grants or things like that. And we really wanted it to be more than, I love Legos and a lot of our programs are Lego based, but we also wanted it to be a little bit more in terms of like real engineering and get our hands on real electronics. And so we created a robotics kit, started off with, CAD models and FEA analysis, but it's called the PiBot, which is a pie-shaped robot. And it was a multidisciplinary introduction to engineering where you built the robot ground up. You used real screws, real screwdrivers, real nuts and bolts. You wired everything, so you got your electronics. You built the gearbox, so you really started to get into understanding what gear ratios are all about and why do we care about them in terms of speed and power changes. And then, of course, you have to program it. So you build it, you wire it, and then you program it using the C programming language. So you get some real coding involved too. And so we built that, put that together, packaged it up. And then the price point that it was available at was under $100. And so you got everything you need. You didn't have to jump online to purchase anything else, but you got to really make something cool and then keep it, which was something that we worked towards. I shared a sneak peek at this project. This was our technical alphabet book. There's a student with an early version of it, which is, color printed at our office, but now we have the actual hardcover book, which was really, really awesome. And I'm sure you all grew up with what I did, which is A stands for apple, B stands for ball, C stands for cat. I can say like all those words to Z. But now we introduce things like A stands for axle, B stands for beam, C stands for caliper, D stands for drill, E stands for engine, F stands for fulcrum, to just get young people talking technical early. Again, Isaac, Sophia, whoever else is watching this, it doesn't matter what you grow up to become, whether you go into marketing or engineering or teaching or law or politics, but you want to be able to talk technical. You want to be able to, have a technology literacy of what's happening in our world and be curious to learn more too. along the way, we were able to share that book into the hands of some other cool folks. And so a few years ago, we had the opportunity to be on ABC's show Shark Tank, which was a very different experience than tinkering in our office and working in our labs. But at the same time, we were trying to grow and do more. And so we were able to pitch our business on Shark Tank. And so we got to bring out our robots, our book, dress up, not in our flower crown and light up tie, and pitch our hearts out and share our message with them, which was a really awesome experience. Happy to talk more about that if you have any specific questions. And along the ways, we've done a couple other things. We were able to be recognized by former President, Vice President Biden, now President Biden, which was a really incredible experience to actually go to his official residence during the Obama administration, which was an exceptional experience and a very fascinating time for us. And then more recently, just like all of you, we're adapting. So, we've grown these in-person centers. We've done all sorts of different programs. We got into robotics and building different products. And like many of you, we are dealing with how the pandemic affects us. And so at the beginning of all of it, we had a break into our center, a bunch of technology stolen. And so that is a picture that I shared here just because we had to board up some things. But we had to deal with closures and changes and figure out what came next. And so throughout that, something that I'm currently working on with my sister and our team is what are our new online offerings look like? What does a in-person COVID world look like as we try to still share engaging experiences with students of all ages in K-12, but how do we do that safely, of course? And so these are some images of what that looks like. Of course, we also are doing a number of virtual classes alongside all of you. I like this because, as you might tell, I love LEDs and lighting things up. So mechanical engineer getting into electronics over here. It's a fun way to really just captivate our students in a different fashion. So with that, I kind of rushed through a few things, but I would love to answer any questions that you have. I really hope that you took something away from some of my experiences, but happy to answer any questions you have. I also have a couple questions in front of me that your teacher has shared, and so I can go through some of those. But thank you all for being with me. Isaac, Sophia, and our staff here, do you have any questions?
Hi, thank you for coming to speak to us today. I was just wondering, I'm a part of sort of like this STEM-based tutoring program, and we're kind of looking to expand and recruit more people. And like my friends and I kind of have different interests, so I can't really say, hey, like, are you interested? And I was just wondering if you had any advice on how we can kind of market and get people excited about this program.
Yeah, so I have questions for you. Can you tell me more about what you do in your program?
So it's kind of like a tutoring program, and then we've kind of decided, hey, maybe it'd be cool if we created like a separate branch solely dedicated to STEM, and there would be like weekly classes that kids can join, and we could focus on specific subjects together.
And so is this for your peers at school in like 9th through 12th?
No, it's an outside of school program, and it's for kids K through 12.
Okay, got it. Pardons. Sorry. Thank you for repeating some of that information. I appreciate it. Awesome. Well, first of all, Sophia, I think that's really awesome. I love that you're doing that. I love that you're sharing that with your community. You know, you can do really cool stuff, and then you go, wait, how do I find people to see all the cool stuff that I'm doing? And that's a constant challenge, I would say, at every step. And so that's a cool thing to have, where you have that thing to share and you go, hey, come on, join me in doing all this cool stuff. In terms of like finding and locating things, I would say like, hey, you want to make sure, number one, that you like are able to define what you're doing. So, hey, we're doing tutoring. What are you tutoring? Like, are you doing specific subject areas? Is it specific homework assignments, things like that, just so you can like, I guess, better maybe clarify that program. And then I love the idea of building things and creating different things, and I'm sold on that right away. But I find that when I share that with people who don't know what I'm talking about, images help, and also physical things. And so if I ever do like promo events, which I know we can't do right now, I'll always bring toys with me, like bring robots, bring projects that people are going to want to see and go, okay, that looks cool. And that way they see that message either through pictures or through physical things that you've shared with them. And if you're doing things virtually right now, I would say Instagram, TikTok, those are great ways to share, especially to reach K-12 students and like parents of K-12 students. And so that's something you can do. If it's sponsored through your school, perhaps have a one-pager that you can share with your teacher or your administrators, and maybe they can share that on behalf of you in their school newsletters, if that's something that's allowed, just to get the word out there. And when you're doing all that, images are everything. So I would include that with what you do as well.
Thank you so much.
Sure.
And in terms of sponsorship, Sophia, I know you've been really engaged with all the events going on. Yeah, that would definitely something I would love to support. So definitely want to sit down and talk with you about ways we can do that possibly for next year and the coming years. So I got your back.
And I see a couple questions in the chat, I think. Let me go ahead and see if I can see them. All right, so Isaac, who's interested in marketing, maybe in some sort of technology environment, said, would you recommend taking CAD 2 or computer science for an elective first in terms of priority? And I think Isaac said he's a 10th grader. Well, that might be a better question for your teacher since he knows the specific curriculum you have in CAD or computer science. But from my perspective, what I would also say is, I think in high school and in earlier ages in K-12, it's really important that you build a foundation. And so in terms of both your own like growth, you don't want to specialize too early. So what I would say is for sure do both, because then you have a basic idea of different things. And then in terms of seeing what you enjoy, like maybe you find, oh my gosh, I really love CAD. I wouldn't necessarily, well, I guess you've done CAD 1 because you're in that now. I wouldn't necessarily do the next level, but your teacher can tell us otherwise. Rather, I might say at this point in your educational career, I would say try something different and see how you enjoy it. And then try something different after that. Do electronics, do computer science, do CAD, do robotics, and then see where that goes. For me personally, the reason I would want to do a CAD 2 or a CAD 3 or whatever program that is the next step is that if you've already tried certain things and you've known, okay, I know I want to be a designer and I know that I want to go into, let's say, mechanical engineering, and to better build my portfolio and make me more marketable to colleges because I already know it, then I'm going to continue doing these level 2, level 3 classes. So if that's you, do that. If you're still like, you know, I love this, but I'm still open, I would do the other things. That would be my perspective. Miguel, do you want to add to that as well?
Yeah, thank you for putting that in, Melissa. I really appreciate it. Yeah, I would agree totally there, Isaac, because there's going to be students that are like exploring, right, which is you, and then there are students that are like, I've already done it and I want to do this and this is what I want, and I want like as many years of it as possible. So we're fortunate you can actually do like a computer science class. I know the school has been briefly talking a little bit about like splitting up courses into semesters, you know, and possibly being an option in the future, right? But if you're just even thinking about taking computer science, I say do it, because at this point that just means that you really want to, and you don't want to miss out. And also the lab's open like outside of class, so you can come in during your free time and still learn the same content. It's going to be spread out, but you know, during school, when school opens, of course, during lunch, after school, that's also time you can learn those other subjects and fit it in when you can. So there's flexibility in all things. I say go with your gut, and then if you want to do computer science, go for it. But if you're 100% certain that you like to do CAD, go that direction. So it requires some soul searching and just thinking about it. And I know that you're a deep thinker, and I know you're going to really consider it and look at all the aspects of it. So that would be my recommendation. I totally support what Melissa's saying. So yeah, go with what feels right.
Yeah, and you know, one more thing that I would add is I know when I was in school at your age, I actually really did enjoy computer science at the time. And today I love coding more than other aspects. And so I would say that I'm sure you have awesome teachers there. I'm sure you have really well-developed courses, but even if you don't, for whatever reason, have the best experience in one specific course, I would also not say to, only look at that industry or that area through that solo lens and stay open as well. Just something to kind of think about as well, just from my personal experience. And then I think Ms. Teresa asked us about PiBots available to purchase. We actually do not currently resell our PiBots. We brought those to market in 2013 and then pulled the line in 2018, I believe. And so it's been some time. However, we do have a selection of other robots, both Arduino based and some others at different levels that I'm happy to talk to you all about too. So if there's anything that we can help your school site, we'd love to do that and find the right solutions too. I have a couple questions. Should I go through these from the ones that the students had asked us and sent you earlier? Okay.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Because I know they're going to be watching this recording after.
All righty. So let's see here. Landon asked about the range of kids that our company teaches. Hopefully I answered that. We work with K-12 students, but we're also able to work with high school and collegiate students through having them as part of our educational team, our teaching team, which has been really great. Matthew asked us, what made you go into the job field you are in? And hopefully my presentation helped a little bit with that. But I don't know if I talked a little bit about my pivot from engineering into education and business, which was a little different. So the thing that got me into engineering was really just being curious. I was the kid that was building things around our house. I was the kid that was taking things apart. And then as I got into high school, I definitely, that curiosity was nurtured, especially through programs like Invent Teams, and my drive to create, make our world a little bit better by bringing in new technology and developing things. I was fascinated by space. And then as I started to get into teaching opportunities, kind of similar, I think, to what you're doing, Sophia, and getting involved in tutoring and outreach, even while I was in high school and then definitely in college, I realized that that's something that brought me a lot of joy. It was something that I was good at and I had fun doing, and I saw an opportunity to do it sustainably as a career, which is constantly something I'm still working on. But when you find that thing that you enjoy doing, that you happen to be good at and you can continue developing to get better at, and that can help improve our world, and you can make a career out of, what more can you ask for? And so that's really what brought me to where I'm at and why I continue doing it. Let's see here. We have Alan who asked, what are other extracurriculars you have done in high school? Like many of you, I was very involved between my AP classes, my IB classes, and all of that. In addition, I was involved in our engineering program, which included Invent Teams. I was also very involved with our theater program. And I also did FBLA, or Future Business Leaders of America. And I think, Sophia, you asked a question about what I did in high school that inspired you in the field. And I would say that my experiences with theater and FBLA actually really increased my confidence and my speaking skills. And so that took me from the nerdy girl that is also very introverted to being able to work on communicating my ideas confidently and really just putting me out there. And so it was something that I both enjoyed, I started to get better at, and really also helped me be better long-term, not necessarily directly. I'm not an actress or anything like that. I don't work in theater, but it does set you up with some different skills, and it made me some friends for a long time too. I also did sports. I played tennis, I played basketball. Earlier on, I did Model United Nations and some speech and debate, and then I was also working as a high school student too. So a couple different things got me involved. And then going back to your question, Sophia, about other things that inspired me to pursue my field, Invent Teams and Alumni on my team was instrumental in fueling my curiosity and passion for engineering. Let's see here. Samuel asked, how do you get the supplies to make robots? Well, if you're asking for supplies to make robots for yourself, hopefully that's something your school can help you with. But in terms of how we got materials to make our robots that we actually brought to market, honestly, some parts we 3D printed, some parts we laser cut, created in our office. Others we had to find vendors for. And so that was a whole process of, testing different materials, seeing what worked, asking for certain specs, to really put together a final product, which was a fascinating experience for us, big learning experience. And then last but certainly not least, Vanessa asked, what was it like in school for you being a girl engineer? And what does it take to start a small, successful business? which are both really awesome questions. Thank you for those, Vanessa. All right, I'm gonna do your first one first, which was, what was it like in school for you being a girl engineer? I think your teacher has some really interesting stats for you all. But I would say, first of all, there was and remains a large gender gap, both in high school, college, as well as in my early corporate work too. And being a woman in the industry and being a woman in the classroom, being surrounded predominantly by boys and men, you know, there's interaction differences, and a lot of it you internalize and get second guess and kind of have in your head as well. I think for me, I was fortunate where I think a lot of the people that we were surrounded by, and I continue to be surrounded by, especially of a certain age, respect hard work, and they respect what they see when you show that you're smart. And so I would say that being confident in yourself and removing yourself away from like what you think people are going to think about you and just focusing on you, not worrying about certain numbers, is really all you have control over. And so that was really kind of something I learned along the way, and that will affect how people treat you as well. Something that I found a lot that was irritating for me, especially working in like group projects, was a lot of times if you have a group of boys and you have a girl in the group, you always become the report writer or the summary writer or the note taker or the packager of your group projects, mostly because we're really good at multitasking and doing multiple things and making sure things look presentable. And so in school specifically, that was something that I constantly felt I had to question as to like, wait, why am I going to be the person doing the final submitting? Why am I going to be the person who's going to package things together? But at the same time, I wanted to be that person because I knew I was going to do the best job of it. So it's something that you have to figure out. How do you communicate that? How do you make sure that you share work equitably? But also, how do you do that and, you know, still get the grades you want to get? And so my learning experiences from that included really just communicating and finding my voice and being confident with myself. And so sometimes I would take on that job, but I would make sure things were still distributed equally. So if you haven't had experiences like that, and I hope you don't, but I do hope that you remain confident and just really strong with your own voice. And then you said, what does it take to start a small, successful business? Gosh, well, a few things, but still figuring it out, honestly, is what I will say. You know, I think something that's important for us is we have fun with what we're doing. And if you have fun with what you're doing, that's going to really keep you motivated when things are hard. We're really big planners, and then we have like a backup plan and then a backup plan. So especially during the pandemic, that's been really important for us. And when you do have a backup plan, when things don't go your way, which they often won't, it's nice to know, what are you going to do about it? And if you don't know what you're going to do about it, which we're there too sometimes, that can make things a little bit more challenging. And when things are hard and you're not sure what to do about it, you have to have an open mind. You have to be able to figure things out, troubleshoot, problem solve. Really a lot of skills that I developed as an engineer and in the classroom working on engineering-based projects. And so that actually translated a lot in business. And I think working as an engineer and going to school as an engineer, where I learned how to study, how to read, how to self-teach certain things, that was also really instrumental going into business, where I don't have a business background. I didn't do business school or anything like that. And so I think you have to constantly be learning, looking at different resources, talking to different people, not being afraid to put yourself out there, and being ready to make mistakes and grow from them, to kind of pat yourself on the back and brush everything else off and be able to move forward from that. So I don't think there's one specific thing. I think it's more of a mindset and a learning curve and an attitude in terms of being able to run that. And of course, you know, having a support system is a really big part of it too. I think I covered all the questions. Any other questions from Isaac or Sophia or Miguel? Anything else you want me to talk to?
Yeah, now's the time, guys. We have about another well, you have a 12:45. I know you said that, Melissa, so I want to honor your time. So maybe like another 2 or 3 minutes there. But yeah, guys, here's an opportunity. Is there anything that kind of stands out, or If you want to ask, feel free to type it in the chat or voice it in. But if we're okay and you feel like you got everything you need, you can give me a little thumbs up emoji and be like, this is perfect. This is great. I got everything we need. And this is absolutely amazing. So, okay, Sophia, sounds like you got it. And then if Isaac, if you have a question, thanks for coming. There you go. Okay. So, and then Teresa, if you have a question or two or comment, feel free as well.
Thank you. Thanks so much.
Awesome.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Very cool. Well, well, I can't thank you enough, Melissa. This was super inspiring, and man, it was amazing, and I cannot thank you enough. And I, look forward to, if there's anything that you would need from our school, we're here to serve. We're here to help. So we are more than happy to assist in any way, shape, or form. So we're here to serve, and so we want to say that first and foremost. So thank you for serving our students, and we're here to serve as well. If you ever need anything from us or our students, so please feel free. I just want to make that comment. And as custom, we normally, or it's turning into custom, we like to kind of pray over you and just kind of bless you for your day and make sure everything's okay. If you permit us, and if that's okay with you, I'd love to kind of ask Sophia to just kind of pray us out and just give thanks for all that we have. And Sophia, I know I'm putting you on the spot, but is that totally okay? And
Yeah, of course.
Right there. Okay, this is the last time I'm gonna bother Sophia. She did it last time too, but I see such leadership in her, and it always inspires me. So Sophia, I promise this will be the last time. So can you pray over Melissa, Sophia, and just kind of just thank her and just allow her to move about her day well, safely and successfully in the midst of everything that's going on? We would appreciate that.
Dear Lord, thank you so much for this day that you've given us to be able to gather together, and for the opportunity to be able to speak with Melissa and learn so much about what she does, and just to grow in general. And I pray that you please bless us as we leave this virtual meeting room today to go on about our days. Please protect us and keep us safe. And we thank you for our time together today. Amen.
Amen. Thanks, Sophia. Well, Melissa, thank you for allowing us the opportunity, and thank you for your time. And we can't thank you enough. But yes, it was awesome. It was really amazing, and we hope to one day have you again once all this passes, and hopefully share a little bit more to our future students as well. So, thank you so much. We mean that from the bottom of our heart.
You all are wonderful. Love the work that you're doing. Thank you for having me. It's been my honor and my pleasure. And I'm sure we will talk soon.
Definitely. Well, we'll see you soon. Thank you so much, Melissa. Have a great day. We'll see you then.
Thank you.
All right. Bye, guys. Thank you.